Hey folks, I do a lot of talks where we do preparedness talks with Temz to talk about different preparedness topics. I do feel like I want to start some leadership talks with Temz, but I don't feel like I can do that in 60 seconds like I do a lot of my preparedness topics. So this will be the first one. So this is a leadership talk with Temz. I want to talk about how do you know where you got the foundation for your leadership? How do you know where you got your guiding principles? Where you got your ethics, your morality, what it's all based off? It's a tough topic. And I think if you've really never thought about it, you don't know. I've told my team this before too. Do you remember on the kitchen refrigerator? You may have had this magnet, or your parents put this little display on there and it says, children live what they learn. And it lists all these different ways in which you raise your children. And if they are living that, then that's how they learn to be as adults. And you can go on Google and you can look this up. So look up, children live what they learn. All right, go check it out. Your team also is going to live what they learn from you as a leader. So any of your bad habits, if you don't get those corrected, those go right on down through your team. And then they will read that all the way down through their team, and so on and so forth. So that's one of the best things there is about receiving criticism. And first and foremost, receive that criticism because someone has taken the time to give it to you. Listen to it and say nothing. Ingest it. Give it some time. And if somebody's looking for an immediate answer, you don't have to give it. You need to think about why they're giving it to you, what's the context, how it was delivered, and what you're going to do about it. So take the time to do that. All right. Now back to leadership. So I took a personality test, and this was a leadership personality test. And I wasn't sure where this thing was headed when I took it. But when I saw the results, it had me leaning towards, egalitarian style of leadership. And that means that I like to push a lot of the decisions down to the people. Because, hey, let's face it, as John Maxwell will say, first and foremost, leadership is a people business, and the highest calling of a leader is leadership for people, and the influence that you will provide them in loans and the return of investment that will come from all of your loans of influence to your team members. All right? So if I'm pushing decisions down to the lowest possible level, I'm treating everyone as equal as I can. I don't want them to see me as a title. I will come to work wearing a t-shirt and tennis shoes and a hat so I can blend in with everybody with my open door policy, and I walk and talk the halls every day, every chance I get. This is how you build that trust. This is how the team trusts, and they see your confidence, your competence, and they know that you value them because you tell them, and you tell them often, and how you recognize their work. All right? So I lean towards egalitarianism. That's great. Awesome. I'd rather lean towards that than anything else. Next, I'm in the middle of being direct or indirect. I think that's fine. That means I'm probably going to take my time before I tell you what's going on. Maybe I'm going to lead into it and tell you a little bit of a story about it. I'm not really going to beat around the bush. I'm kind of balanced. So I think being in the middle of being direct or indirect, I think that's pretty fair. The next area that I wanted to talk about is in terms of, let me think for a second. It's in terms of being interdependent versus independent. But I'm not so far interdependent that I got to know everything about you before we can work together, before we can make any choices or work on a project. No, it's not what I'm saying. What it means is there's value in getting to know you personally so that you will trust me, and you'll trust me faster, and you'll trust me for the long haul, because there are going to be tough times, and if you don't trust me, you may not deliver. And plus, as a leader, if your team doesn't trust you, they are not going to follow you during the most difficult of times. So It's okay to be interdependent. It's okay to get out there and build awesome relationships. It's okay to be personal in nature, to let people get to know you, to be vulnerable. There's also a big difference between you acknowledging what your weaknesses are, because they already know what your weaknesses are, and then you being willing to openly talk to your team about your weaknesses. That's powerful, all right? They already know. Yeah, might as well say, hey, I know I'm kind of weak in this area. I bet y'all agree. How can we work on that? And you can do that for your team as well, because you already do during their performance reviews, because we look at their strength zones and their challenge areas. So you're already doing it for them. Let your team do that for you. All right? So now let's circle back. Let's talk about how did we get to where we are? What made you the type of leader that you are today? Did you read a lot of books? Did you get out there and practice what you read? Did you have any failures with practicing what you were reading? How did you grow from that? What feedback did you get? Did you fail quick and solve for it quickly too, and never repeat those mistakes again? Now, as I go back and think about it, scouting, Scout Oath and Lawn, I think about that. I think about how it grounded me in a time when I needed that as a youth, when there were a lot of distractions, growing up. I'm a child of the 80s, and early 90s. A lot of distractions back then were kind of keeping yourself out of trouble in terms of make sure you're home before the street lights come on, or out there in the woods, doing different things. It wasn't like I'm just sitting at home playing video games. There wasn't so much of that. So, we're riding bikes to swimming pools and doing different things back then. So scouting kind of gave me structure and gave me things to work toward and gave me the ability to earn merit badges that would set me up for the rest of my life, put me on a path for nuclear engineering, etc., etc. And later on led to where I am today. Think about that. So that's kind of my grounding principles, and probably gave you a really good, strong sense of morals and ethics. Scouting's got a lot of religious connotation with it because our duty to God and country. Think about how you're raised. We talk often about juggling 5 balls, right? If you talk about you're juggling 4 glass balls and one is the rubber ball of work and you can drop the work ball, what are those 4 glass balls again? They might be family, friends, health. Oh, and that other one is spirit. So spirit is whatever that means for you. Whether that is you go to your church, your synagogue, whatever it is for you, you still have to have spirit in what you do. And that probably helps ground some of your morals and ethics. But I went a step further. I went and grabbed my ethics book when I took ethics when I was working on my Bachelor's of Science degree in nuclear technologies. And I went into that book and I looked for the topics of utilitarianism and Kantian ethics, which Kantian ethics could also be deontology, deon, the Greek word for duty. So I first looked at utilitarianism again, and I had remembered there was a really key phrase that comes up, and everybody remember this. It's the ends justifies the means. All right, let's repeat that again. The results justify the act. All right, the ends justify the means. So that means we've got, and here's the prime example. I got a train track, I got a switch. The train can go in 2 directions. We go in track 1 or track 2 off that switch. Track 1, I got 5 people on the tracks. Track 2, I got 1 person on the track. I got to make a decision. Which one brings about the most happiness? Kill 5 people, kill 1 person with a train, runaway train. All right? So those are some of the things that you're stuck with utilitarianism, is what brings about the most happiness. It's not the rightness or the wrongness of the decision. It's the end results. So that becomes a little tougher, right? Now, if we go back to deontology and remember Greek word for duty, we start thinking about the moralistic meaning behind the act and how you determine what act you're going to take that will then justify the results. So that means, what you're going to do, the means, is more important than what the end result is. So a lot of moralistic beliefs come into the decisions that are going to be made either way for deontology or Kantian ethics. And we're talking Immanuel Kant from many, many, many years ago, of course, German philosopher. So we're going to dig into his two of the forms of his categorical imperative in just a few seconds. So today we're going to talk about two of the forms of the categorical imperative that Immanuel Kant had for deontology or Kantian ethics. So the first one is form one. If I can apply something to myself, I should be able to apply it to all, right? So if I can lie about something, then everybody should be able to lie about it. So not so much, right? So if I'm gonna, lie and tell you that I'm gonna pay back this loan, and then I'm not gonna pay back this loan, and nobody has to pay back a loan, that's not gonna work. All right, so that is the first form. The second form of the categorical imperative is to always treat people as a means, not as an end. Meaning they need to have say in what's going on, and you need to have that they're a team player here. They're read in, that you are not taking advantage of a situation and using them for something they didn't sign up for. So Immanuel Kant, he was very focused on that, and that that totally goes against utilitarianism, where hey, we're going to use these people no matter what because we got to get these end results. So remember, that's a big difference between Kantian ethics and utilitarianism with Mills, etc. So again, go back and think about what got you to who you are today. What's your belief system? What is your structure? What are your morals? What are your ethics? Is all of this non-compromising? When the time comes for your defining moment, are you going to stand up and do what's right for yourself, for your team, tell the truth, and never, ever, ever, never, do not sell your integrity for a nickel, because all the money in the world is never going to buy it back. Don't do it. Stay who you are, no matter what role you go into, no matter what you do, no matter how life goes. If you always think about the first point of the scout law, a scout is trustworthy, right? Live your life to these points. And remember, there's 2 stars, like in the first class badge, and all the scouts have to memorize this: truth and knowledge, right? Think about this stuff. Why would that stuff be there if that's not what's important? These things have stuck with me over my entire life. They've grounded me. They've given me a sense of, moral grounding, a code of ethics that I stand behind. It's non-flinching. It cannot be bought, ever, ever. So think about that. What made you who you are today? How did you get there? And like I did it from time to time, I'm going to go grab one of those college books and I'm going to read up on some of this stuff. You can't be expected to have memorized all of this, but from time to time, don't forget you did study these things at some point in your life. What did it mean? How could it help you today? Right? So we will always and continually be learning about leadership. And if you're not learning about leadership, you're not going to keep moving forward. You are limiting your potential to be an even greater leader if you do not continue to learn about leadership. Read books, listen to podcasts, have people read to you, join book clubs, start a book club. I have 2 book clubs that I do at work. One on Fridays with the managers, one on Wednesdays with the ICs. We do a lot of deep thinking and talking about what we're reading about, and we're learning a lot together. All right, I hope you all enjoyed this Leadership Talk with Temz. Take care. See y'all.